Hi everyone, today I'm going to talk about the film What Happens in an Alley, which is a South Korean film produced in 1962. It talks about a family, husband, wife, the mother of the husband, the brother of the husband, and 9 children, everyone living in the same house. And the father, he worked in the tax department, but of course, for obvious reasons, he was always nervous, stressed, because it was very hard for him to support his family with his small salary. It was too many children at home. He was also very rude with everyone around him, his children, his wife, his family. And then he was a very honest employee in the company, and there was an offer of a bribery to him because his brother-in-law, he was married, his wife couldn't have children, and then he had a lover, and the lover, she had a cafe, and his brother-in-law wanted to give him some bribery so the cafe wouldn't pay taxes for the government. However, the father, he was a very honest man and he didn't want to do this kind of a bribery. Unfortunately to him, one of his close colleagues in the workplace, he was already accepting the briberies. And then this colleague, he gossiped to his boss, saying that he was a bad employee, saying bad things about him, because as the father couldn't accept any bribery, then the owners of the cafe, they were trying to make him being fired from his job. And then he was extremely harassed and the expenses at home were improving. His elderly mother, she got very sick. She was diagnosed by the doctor with appendicitis and she needed to be taken to the hospital, but there was no money for that. Then he accepted money from the owner of the cafe and he didn't give in. Well, he did make the owner of the cafe pay all the taxes he was supposed to pay, even though the father accepted money from him. And then, of course, the owner of the cafe, he went to his workplace, he made a scandal, and then the father disappeared, both from his workplace and from home. In the meantime, the quarrel between his brother-in-law and his wife continued because there was no children after 4 years of marriage. And then we can see that the brother of the father, who lived in the same household, he had the dream of being a writer. However, his brother, because of all the stress of having a big family and all that, he was very rude with his younger brother. Then he left home. However, he offered his book to some publishing houses. He was rejected, but then someday he took part in a competition and he won. And he won lots of money too, around 1 million won, something like that. It was lots of money. Then the younger brother, he knew that his older brother was suffering a lot with the owner of the cafe because he owned 300,000 wons to the owner of the cafe. The owner of the cafe was making a big scandal because he gave money, but he didn't have his exemption of the taxes back. Then the younger brother paid his debt. And then the father, he was too ashamed to return home because he thought that he would be fired in his workplace, which wasn't true, but he couldn't know. And he didn't dare to face his family knowing that he couldn't support them. Then someday he was at school, close to the school where his children studied. His children recognized him, hugged him, and then he realized how much he missed his family. And he returned home. and he returned home a changed man. He congratulated his brother for having won the prize. He had seen that in the newspaper. He was a more patient man. He knew that he wouldn't be fired from his job. However, the financial difficulties remained. And then his brother-in-law, who couldn't have children with his wife, they had the idea that as they couldn't have children, and he even tried to have a lover, but it didn't work out, then the brother-in-law and his wife would adopt 2 of his children, the youngest ones. Then they took 2 of the children of the father. They lived nearby. It was just a way for the father not to have too many expenses with too many kids. And they lived nearby. Of course, they would visit their parents all the time. And it was a way to make his life a little bit easier. And this is how it ended. It's a nice film because it shows the difficulties of poor people. It shows the difficulties of having an extremely big family. Maybe if he didn't have as many children, 90 children is a lot, maybe his life would be much easier. And then we can see that it's good to be honest, because he was harassed all the time to accept the briberies. He didn't accept, and eventually his boss recognized that, and he didn't lose his job. However, his colleague who accepted the bribery of the owner of the cafe, his colleague lost his job. So it shows the importance of being honest, that it's worth it. It shows that even though there are difficulties, there is always hope. We can see the landscape of Korea of the time and how it was an office job in that context. It's a beautiful film. It's a touching film, and I really recommend you to watch. It is available to be seen online. I don't know if it's available in DVD, but if it is, you should definitely buy it. And of course that, even though 2 of his youngest children were adopted, he would still have 7 children at home to support his wife, his elderly mother. But his younger brother, he won a good money. He could help to support the family too. So we can see it was implied that his life would be at least a little bit easier. And he was also more patient because he missed his family a lot, so he wasn't as short-tempered as before. And the film finished in the best way possible, because after all, 90 children is very difficult to support. But it had the best solution possible. That's all for now, folks. I hope you enjoyed this video. See you!